Hey everyone, this is Adrienne. So thanks for being on the call tonight. And let's see here. Let's just start with an opening meditation, give people a little bit more time to come in. But I just want to begin by following the natural rhythm of our breath, breathing in and out. And expanding into the wisdom of the conscious heart. Placing us into a sacred healing chamber with the temple of the great central sun angels. Calling forth to the tribes of light, which is who we're actually going to be working with this evening. So calling forth to each of our tribes of light. Calling into the mighty Elohim and Seraphim angels, our own higher presence overlighting us, and opening up our hearts, our higher mental body, our soul body to receive anything that we need that's in our highest good, our highest teaching tonight, calling forth any beings of light that are working on our highest behalf. Coming forth and blessing each of us uniquely and individually, as well as within the quantum prayer field that we are in within this call. And we have the archangelic realm. The angelic realm is going to be joining us first this evening. And they're wanting to balance out the energy with us. So we call in that violet transmuting flame. Sealing this call tonight, sealing this session for our highest state of well-being and grace, calling into these beloved angelic beings that are coming in. And as you take a deep breath, just noticing as the archangelic realm is enfolding you, helping to calm down your nervous system, opening your heart center to receive. And as we go through each of the different tribes of light tonight, each one, it sounds like, is going to bring you a blessing. So even though it may not be your specific tribe of light that you're working with, each one is going to bring forth a blessing in the energy, which is super nice. All right, so also kind of wanted to follow up just to see how everybody was doing from last week. I've had a couple people text me and ask some questions. Susan Ledger, she had gotten in touch with me and she was talking about how she gets chills and sometimes they're on the front of the body, sometimes the back of the body. Yeah, I never thought about that. I never had that happen personally. So, but just sort of listening to Susan Ledger's question from last week in regards to the intuition and which intuition maybe is your intuition. And she was relating to specifically, I guess, there were several, but the one sort of, around her shoulder blades and her heart, so more that heart wisdom. The chills also is dealing a lot with a body wisdom, where your body's communicating to you. And, those are some heightened ones there. And so if anybody else has chills, either on the front or the back of the body, it's just, like I said, it's kind of an interesting question. So we're just going to listen to that just to kind of follow up from last week. Susan's energy, it feels like it is some of the angelic star beings that she works with that are doing that, and also her own higher self. And so when she gets the chill bumps on the front of her body, it definitely seems like there's an expansion of energy, a forward movement and expansion of energy. And it feels as though the people are interacting, or whatever it is she might be working with is interacting with her. When the chills show up on the back of the body, to me, when I'm watching it, it almost senses as though there could be a little bit of resistance in the energy. So it's not necessarily a do this or don't do that. Like she was thinking maybe if it's in the back of the body, it's something from the past or something maybe not to move forward perhaps. And if it's on the front of the body, then it's maybe in the future, go ahead, that kind of thing. So when I noticed the chill bumps on the back, I would agree with her about that, but the reasoning might be there might be kind of some resistance to the energy in the unconscious of the other person she's working with, or maybe herself. And so when the chill bumps are on the back, it might be a good time to sort of slow down, ask how the person is feeling, what's going on for them, you know, and even tuning in herself to see if there's anything up that would be any resistance that's going on, that if she were to tune in, is there anything making me uncomfortable about this? She might could actually notice what's going on either for herself, the other person, and with the different beings that might come in to be working with her. So I would think of it as more of a hesitancy, a resistance that would need to be cleared. And if it was cleared, then you might find that those chill bumps actually move to the front of the body if the energy was kind of cleaned up that way. In other words, they talked through their feelings, or they talked about maybe what kind of scared them a little bit about this, that, or the other, or where they were in resistance to something, or maybe they had a bad memory about something. And if you get the other person talking, it might clear the energy on that level with that. Another person wrote in, and they had something I'd never seen before. And it was on the inner levels, they were they didn't necessarily have a good feeling about using the word chamber, because I said, let's set up a healing chamber on the inner levels. And chamber for her wasn't necessarily a good word. And you can most definitely, with any words that we use anything you want. So when we went in to do that meditation to even see which intuition, if the word chamber isn't a good word, or any other word I use, shift it up. So it might be, you know, a sacred healing circle, a sacred healing space. You know, your higher self knows what we're doing. So it's perfectly fine if a certain word doesn't work for you. And then once they did get in there, they saw a, from what I remember, it was kind of like a tall chair that kind of, you know, it seems like it kind of reminded them of like an electric chair type thing. And I've been tuning into this all week. So it was really a fascinating thing. And I haven't gotten to talk to her in person yet, but sitting with it and just watching it and listening to her guides about it, it was really a very advanced kind of tool of light. And, you know, what I was recommending her to do is to actually sit in the chair. And it feels like what it does is it brings alignment to her body, and maybe anybody else that she invites into her sacred healing, you know, space, is that once they sit in the chair, a ton of healing work was being done where their light body was being realigned and charged up. And I think that from the very first point when she heard the word chamber, it probably set off a kind of a bad connotation. And so then when she saw the chair, it might have come across a little bit like a, you know, electric chair type thing. But really it was an advanced tool for helping to balance out the light body, the meridian system, because you have to remember we're energy before we are physical matter. And so balancing out your light body and your meridian system can oftentimes help with clearing emotions and thought forms, and clearing out physical stuff even before it has to be anything. So it's an advanced technique. So highly recommend for her to use this. And it was a really interesting tool that, if I know that her tribe of light was kind of working with her specifically on that. And so it was her tool, but it might be interesting if you were interested in that technology to ask that a, you know, chair be brought into your field, that you know, or some other tool that might be beneficial to you, where you actually get to balance out your own light body. And for some people that might be a crystal wand, or it might be a light and sound healing resonance, chroma, you know, yeah, light and sound and color and crystals. So there's other ways that it could be done. So if you like the idea of what she has, you may want to ask your tribe of light to bring something in that's kind of unique and special for your own. Okay, so that was a little bit of the feedback I got. There was also one other one that I've actually saved on my texts. I don't ever save texts because I never want to send somebody the wrong text because I get a lot of texts. So this is coming in from Karen Roberts, and she said that after the call, she said that she said it was definitely worth sharing that when we oh no, that was me responding back. Okay, so what she said was that she had an experience in the meditation last week where she felt a very distinct relationship between awakening her intuition and loving unconditionally. Because a big basis of a lot of the soul blueprint and just I think who we are as a human being has a lot to do with the foundation of unconditional love at its, well, at the basis of our very nature, actually. And when you start to breathe into unconditional love, it literally shapeshifts how you interact in the world, and it changes the energy, the very chemistry and the hormones and what you end up attracting to you. So if you were dealing with conditional love, which is what most people are dealing with just worldwide, actually, it's just the way most of us have been trained, right? So in conditional love, it deals with survivalism, karmic patterns, duality, right, wrong, left, right, good, bad, that kind of thing, right? But when you move into unconditional love, it takes you into the energy of the law of oneness. And so when you start to remember that I deserve more and more unconditional love, not less at all times, that is a universal principle. I don't have to believe it. It doesn't matter if it's written in a book. It doesn't matter if somebody says it or not. It's literally a universal truth. And so when you say that to yourself, you can feel the truth of it, and it brings you back into connection, and it starts to create a level of safety in your energy field that you may have never felt before, but it's also a way of doing self-love that's super healing, and it's very grounding. It allows you to feel safe enough to start showing up in the ability to actually fulfill your soul blueprint and your higher life purpose. So unconditional love is really a foundation to this entire course. And so when Karen was noticing that, basically through when she got in touch with her intuition, and I'd have to kind of agree, because what I was watching, and I had never seen this before either until working with you guys in this particular course, is that that when you access your own intuition, you're really accessing the ability to be in your own higher empowerment. So you're not giving your power away to others. And the foundation of conditional love is giving your power away to others, or having them give you power, which of course then creates cording and projections. And again, it's the messiness of our humanity, on that level. So if you were in touch with your intuition and you were trusting your intuition, trusting yourself and your connection to your own divinity, then you're obviously going to be able to act from an empowered space of unconditional love. So I really appreciate what Karen said. And actually, not only is this the first course that I'm kind of doing a trial run of this online course. And, I'm so grateful that all of you are participating, because it's the first run, but it's also information that's going into the book. Because even though I've written the book a few years ago and now I'm doing a re-edit, by teaching it, more information is coming in. And so what Karen contributed will for sure be added in. And so I appreciate all your comments and everything that you ask questions or have experiences of. I greatly appreciate in terms of my learning and expanding to, bring this work out to more people as well. Okay, so tonight then, as we get into this, moving from the foundation of our intuition, so I just want you to just begin breathing and connecting into the intuition that you feel most aligned with. Again, all of them are there. But you can start to align to your own inner intuition that you feel most comfortable with. And just letting yourself breathe into either the crown chakra, which would be clairsentient, the third eye chakra here in the forehead, which is more clairvoyant, the ability to see and see the higher truth and perfection. That heart chakra, breathe into the deeper feelings and the soul body intuition. the solar plexus, where you're really picking up on emotions, or even the gut wisdom, the body itself communicating with you, emotional energy. And so just very gently breathing into that, starting to expand it as we begin tonight, because we're going to be building each week, we're building the energy and learning how to practice with each one, continuing to practice with it. Okay, and as you notice your particular form of intuition that you feel most comfortable in, expanding and alighting. And so we're going to start calling forth to the different tribes of light. And I'll be explaining each one as we go through it. So the angelic realm wants to start because they are here and they're present, and they feel like it's going to help each of us to be more comfortable as we go into different other tribes of light. And they're working with the feeling body and helping us to actually kind of create a bridge in our feeling body to the feeling body, the feeling awareness of that particular tribe of light. So the people who come in, so I'll explain this to you. So your tribe of light is like your family of light, essentially. And they travel with you lifetime to lifetime, as well as dimensional as well. And they are kind of your family of origin, in a sense. And so if you can imagine that we're all, an individualized flame of spirit, like a light beam, as we're coming in from source energy, as we're being created for the very first time in creation, we are this being of light. And as a being of light, we'll start traveling down through dimensions of consciousness, and we'll start connecting into, by resonance, by vibrational resonance, to whichever tribe of light perhaps most benefits or aligns with you and your individual creative flame. So whether you are in human form or not, you have a creative flame that you are representing in that tapestry of light in the universe that we talked about. So the universe is always in a form of creation with itself. And so from the very first time that you became an individualized flame of light, like you were no longer just all connected into that, the all that is, but you became an individualized flame, then that is your creative flame that you would bring forth. And it's unique to your signature. So as you become an individualized flame, you start coming into either the cosmic avatars, the cosmic realm, the galactic realm, which would be more related to the Great Central Sun, planetary consciousness. So there's many planetary systems out there, star systems, so the star tribes, the angelic realms, the Ascended Master octave, and the Nature Kingdom. Now, I do want to explain that the Ascended Masters, they are considered their own octave because of how they work with us, but technically any Ascended Master is going to be coming from one of the first five. And so they might be a double one, a one that you work with as well. So for instance, Mother Mary is considered an Ascended Master, but her origin tribe of light is angelic. She's even considered Queen of the Archangels, actually. And then let's say with Mary Magdalene or Jesus, both of them are coming in as cosmic avatars. So they're actually coming in from that consciousness. And so they're going to relate more on that level. And, Krishna's energy may have shown up more, or Buddha might have shown up more as a planetary being or a star being. You see, so the Ascended Masters do need to be included as their own tribe of light, but their origin will be kind of one of the first five as well. Then with the Nature Kingdom, again, they are a realm onto itself in this world, so they need to be considered because many people do relate very strongly to the Nature Kingdom as their tribe of light. But yet, in the Nature Kingdom, they are either the devas are going to be your plants and animals. And so they're almost like coming from more the angelic realm. So plants and animals, they can be a little bit more, particularly plants, more in alignment to the Devic, which is the nature kingdom's version of an angel. And then there are elementals, which would be more the star tribes. And that's going to be earth, wind, air, fire. It's your elements and things like that, maybe land masses and geology, things like that. So you have within the nature kingdom, you're pulling kind of from an angelic aspect of consciousness or a star being aspect of consciousness, but yet they are considered their own field of light. So just wanted to kind of clear that up. Now, with each tribe of light, they have their own language to them. And so for me, when I work with people and I'm sitting with them, it would be sort of like an enneagram or a personality test kind of thing, where when I tune into their energy, they have a signature resonance to them. So every single thing in every single thing in creation has a resonance. So whether it's a rock or a tree or a baby or you or a car or a pet or an angel or an ascended master, every single thing has a vibrational resonance that makes it unique to that energy. Like if you were to go to Sedona, you really feel the overlighting deva of the land in Sedona, and you can feel the resonance. It's a very different place than if you were to go to Ireland or if you were to go to New York City. So they all have their own signature resonances. And as do people, which I'm sure you're aware of, right? But so do the different tribes and councils of light. So the cosmic avatars, they are really one of the more rare ones on the planet. There's not near as many, they're just more rare. And people who might relate to that consciousness of the cosmic avatars would be like Eckhart Tolle, Jesus, beings like that, Guru Maya, and they have a certain, Mary Magdalene. And if you just listen to their energy, they have that kind of energy. So when a person resonates to the cosmic avatar energy, they usually have a very expanded mental body. They're here more for world service in a sense. A guru on a mountaintop would also maybe fall into that category. And many times people who come in with the cosmic avatar are even more interested in the consciousness of the earth itself than even the family of humanity. They'll bless all of life, but they're actually more interested in the cycles of the family of humanity and what they're going through and the earth itself. So just even being here on the planet, cosmic avatar could just as easily be a homeless person or a guru on a mountaintop. They have this amazing sense of being detached to them about life. They don't really pay a lot of attention necessarily to rules. They don't really care that much about gravity or time or space. They're very much into the present moment is more important to them in that way, in terms of like, well, they won't be as interested a lot of times in the past or the future. Their sense of time and space are so expanded that they realize that in truth, at a higher level, there is no time and space. And being a cosmic avatar at a very high vibrational level, they know that. And so they don't put a lot of stock into it. And their mind grasps very easily the ability to teleport or telecommunicate. And they just don't understand why that's not already happening in this world. So again, they live at this very heightened state of consciousness and quantum physics, quantum reality, more so than anybody else. And, the downside of that is that they definitely believe in the law of one. It's one of their signature tones. But being in this world in an individual body, they may also feel not that connected to this world, very in this world, but not of it, very kind of above it in a sense. And sometimes that can make them feel kind of lonely. on that level. Not that any of us don't for different reasons, but the cosmic avatar being one of the rarest on the planet, they can be very connected on the spiritual realms, which is really where more of their energy is upheld. And they dwell a lot in that realm. But in the physical world, the car works, the car doesn't work. They have money, they don't have money. They have a home, they don't have a home. They can be very nomadic. Relationship, sure, we're in it. Relationship, okay, I guess we're not in it now. They just have a way of being, again, detached that is sometimes uncomfortable for other people to be around, but they make really good universal teachers and teaching of the higher principles. They definitely expand energy. They're really good at calling in energy and blessing the planet and leading world meditations and things of that nature. So on the downside of that family of light, that tribe of light, is that they can be incredibly aloof. So when you come across people who come from that tribe of light, the negative side when they're not in balance is they can be so aloof, you don't really know how to connect to them. And they live so much and dwell so much in the other worlds that they're just like, it's hard to make a stronger connection with them in your feeling body, your emotional body, your mental body. They're just not as interested in connecting that way. So that's your cosmic avatar. And so we just want to expand. Cosmic avatar energy also governs planets like the sun and the moon and the earth, Helios and Vesta, Alpha and Omega, Lord Adonis, Lady Venus, Sanat Kumara. These are some of your cosmic avatars. And you'll notice if I'm saying the names, they're probably not very familiar. They're probably not beings that you just readily call in and start working with, because their consciousness is just so high that it's not, we have to be able to go to higher dimensional realms in order to really connect. So as the angel, and particularly the archangels, are working with us tonight, I want you to get a feel for the cosmic avatars, right? So we're just going to go in and just take a deep breath, and we're just opening our heart. We call forth to the cosmic avatars, cosmic realms of light. And you may begin to notice they dwell almost totally out of the seventh chakra, seventh to heart. Connection is really strong for them. They're very heart-centered and very above their head. And so just noticing as your crown chakra may be opening, and who's coming forth tonight to sit in the energy with us and represent the cosmic avatar energy is Lord Adonis. So just feeling his presence, his blessing, that expansion of your higher self, your higher spirit. And when I'm watching him on the inner levels, it's almost like looking at a constellation. It's not even like looking at a person the way we would see it. It's not that he can't take form, but his energy is so expanded. It's almost like looking at a constellation in the heavens, in the sky. And what he's doing is he's touching our third eye. It's like he's bringing energy in to cause an awakening of the cosmic avatar energy. It's almost like touching us with his light, because it will expand your consciousness and cause an evolution and an enlightenment within you. Even if it's not your tribe of light, it will have a tendency to cause an enlightenment. It's a gift. And that's why it's so cool to be able to dance between the seven councils of light, these seven different tribes of light and beings that are there, is because they're all very valuable to us in their own way, even though that we have our unique ones that we may feel an origin with. And so as Lord Adonis is touching our third eye, causing an awakening, an inner enlightenment is what he's calling it, an inner enlightenment to your own inner truth. So he's not necessarily initiating you into his, into being a cosmic avatar. He's awakening you, which is what cosmic avatars do. They're very gifted at awakening you into your inner light. And just breathing into that energy, allowing that to occur. Giving thanks, and so it is. Okay, now that energy is going to also continue working with us for a while. And you know how with Eckhart Tolle, I'm not sure if you know his story or not, but well, I don't know what he did before, but I do know that he, at some point, just became homeless. And that was all right. And then he wrote a book, and that was all right. And then the next thing you know, he's like a world teacher and being seen on Oprah and whatever, and that's all right. But you'll notice that he, his books, even reading them, are so expanded that it may be hard to almost connect at times. Like, the concept is good and you're wanting to read it, but yet at the same time, it's just like this expansion to where it's hard to read the words. You almost have to grasp the energy of it more than anything. But again, like, his life is a great testament of, just going through things, and they're just experiences. They're all right. Not overly attached to it. Okay, so now as we go into the next tribe of light that's coming in is with the galactic beings. And so we're calling forth to the galactic tribes of light. So the galactic tribes are also a little interesting because you may be a angelic being or a star tribe or planetary being, but yet you also have a connection to the galactic tribe because of your level of service, that you're very committed to being of service. So the original beings of the galactic energy and their signature tone to them, they are very fiery. They have a force to be reckoned with. They can, they're great at multitasking. They're great at networking. It's easier to hang out with them almost more in a group type energy because they have so much energy. It usually, it can almost be a bit overwhelming to people, their ideas and how they want to be of service. And they're very service oriented, and they have this immense compassion to them. And they have a tendency, to kind of wonder why other people aren't being more of service. Like, it's just so common sense that if we all just did what we were here to do, and we were all chipping in and picking up trash at the park, or, passing money on where it's needed, or finding ways to help, clean up trash in the ocean and microplastics or whatever, that if we just all did what we were here to do, this would be a really wonderful experience. And so they're fiery, they're almost to the point of being somewhat kind of aggressive, and sometimes they can be a little bit louder in terms of their voice. And, so they just have a galactic energy, and their tone to them is that they are pulling literally the sacred fire love of the great central sun. And so it's their passion. They're very passionate people usually. They're good at creating movements. They're good at creating, being advocates for others. They just want the right thing done. They're very dedicated to being in divine right action. And it is like non-negotiable for them. This is divine right action, and they will say what they need to say and be an advocate and stir up everything they have to stir up, but they will not back down. And, so again, it has kind of a bit of an aggressive type tone if you're more of a passive person, but they're not aggressive in a threatening way. It's more of this energy of this immense fiery passion that just cannot hold them back, that they just feel a burning inside them. They have to make a difference in the world. And that energy, like I said, the people who are coming directly from the great central sun energy will be pulling from that stream of the great central sun as kind of its origin. So this is where it gets a little interesting, though, is because the great central sun is a hub amongst universes. So the great central sun is the sun behind our sun. So we have our sun, and who governs our sun is Helios and Vesta. So cosmic beings govern our sun, and then there's a cosmic being that governs our earth. So behind our sun is the great central sun. And if you can imagine that our galaxy is spinning around the great central sun, and then this universe and this universe and this universe and this constellation and this galaxy, and really, even though our sun and all of our planets is in its own little hemisphere, its own, um, orbit of energy. We're only one, and there's many, 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 many other different universes, and all of us are being sort of funded energy through the great central sun, at kind of its core, which is a major transport of energy and hub and energy center, really, even for source energy coming through, right? So with that great central sun, planetary beings and star beings and angels and ascended masters and planetary logos and spiritual hierarchy, a lot of times they will meet in the great central sun as a temple of light, and it's in a magnificent city of light. And whenever because it's my origin tribe of light, being with the great central sun angels, and so when we're doing the membership, the Wednesday calls, the My Wild Magic membership, I'm always guiding us in meditation, usually directly into this great central sun, because that's the place that I prefer and I work from, but also because it's like going to a place where all these other different beings can come and migrate to very easily. They can travel to it. So we're soul traveling to the great central sun, but other beings, like let's say Archangel Michael is really big in the working with galactic councils on behalf of divine right alignment, as are a lot of the ascended masters and different Arcturians, planetary beings and star tribes. So again, with the galactic tribe of light, there's two things about it. One is that it might be your true origin of your tribe of light and your sense of belonging, right? At the same time, you might be a star being who is very aligned in your service work, and you have joined with the Galactic Council that is serving a cause that's in relationship to your soul blueprint. And there's many different galactic councils out there. And I'm giving you an idea that, let's say on one council could be Kuan Yin and the Lords of Karma, or Archangel Michael and different ascended masters, or maybe Mary Magdalene and her creative flames. There's all these different councils, and it's very similar to what you would see on, I don't know, Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica, where they're kind of in space, but they have all these rows of like all these different planets and all these different star systems and all these different beings. And it's like levels and levels and levels, but there's a council to them, and they all pull together, maybe for a higher cause. And the ones that you would be most serving and work with are ones that are related most likely to the earth. So whichever galactic councils are in service to the earth, Saint Germain and the Ascended Master Jesus and Buddha, these are beings that are oftentimes on other galactic councils. And because you've met them in past lives, or you've worked in their temples, or you're related to them in some way, in terms of your own life path and what you're here to be of service to, you're like, oh, not only am I a star being that's come here to be of service in the world, but my service is so important to me, and I have made it such a focus of my soul's intention that I am also now committed to be on a galactic council. It's like being on City Hall or another council, you see. So it's like you're adding something to your tribe of light, but you're adding another element of not only beings who can be of service with you, but beings you are also in service to as well in terms of your service. So I'm hoping that's clear, that there's really two ways to consider the Galactic Council. People who literally coming in from the cosmic fire of the great central sun in their own way, that's their origin, or people who come from other councils, but they are now committed to a galactic council that is in alignment to their divine purpose, their soul blueprint. So it can definitely be a secondary one, that you may have, and it might be your primary one, depending on who you are and what's going on. But to know in the personality of yourself, are you fiery? Are you aggressive by nature? Are you committed to divine right action, even if you're going to look like a fool or an idiot, or you're the only one out there running running in front of everybody? Do you just wake up in the morning just wondering why more people aren't being of service? Like, why aren't we all doing what we're here to do? Being an advocate, networking with people, and then the downside to the galactic beings is that they can be very intense to be around. It tends to burn people out a lot of times. And to be around them one-on-one, because they're highly creative, they're very passionate, they have multiple ideas that they want to accomplish all at one time, and nobody else can really keep up with them at that level. So, they can be kind of like a bull in a china closet at times, because they will really stand for a cause and be an advocate for something, even when it's inconvenient to people, or they don't want the trouble of it. So, again, they can be almost a bit overwhelming to people at times, and that's the downside. So they need to come back into balance. Just like with the cosmic avatars, theirs is maybe aloofness is their downside. Then they need to breathe into their heart and get reconnected to their heart and recenter, maybe even be in nature. With the galactic people, when they get out of balance, with, where they're spinning with so much energy, perhaps they need to breathe into their heart too, and remember, connecting to the heart will connect them into everything around them, and maybe be more supported by people. And they have a lot of energy to channel. So having their own business, having their own nonprofit, writing a book, networking, being on TV, whatever it is where they get to work on that level, that's a good energy. And so an example of beings who, souls who might have that galactic energy would be like Oprah Winfrey is a really good example. She has a lot of those characteristics on that level. So, and just watching her character with things about that. Martin Luther King, also very strong energy for that galactic energy, where you just could not shut him up. Same with Oprah. It's like once they get going, they are going, on that level with things. And there's other different, I'm trying to think of different actresses or actors that might have that same frequency. Another one would be Angelina Jolie. She's another one. You know what I mean? She's can be very fiery, very aggressive, stands up, won't take no for an answer, maybe does more than her fair share of things, wants everybody to be of service at that level. It can be very demanding, in a sense, to be around these types of people, especially on a personal level. You can be very inspired by them, but on a personal level, it can kind of burn you out a little bit. All right, so that's with the galactic. So let's just, again, breathe into our heart, allowing these angels, these great central sun, the great central sun angels, but also the archangels to help open our heart. And I want you to now feel the blessing, in this case of the great central sun angels, bringing forth that cosmic fire love of the great central sun directly into you. And in this case, they're not really touching, but they're sending a blazing light straight into your heart. You might feel it like a heat. It almost even might feel like a heaviness, or like if you were in a volcano, almost even kind of hard to breathe. But breathing in and letting them kind of burn through anything within your heart center that needs to be cleared or cleansed. Bringing you back to your own inner truth. Bringing you back to your own passion. Igniting that passion within you. Lighting that fire of destiny within you. Reminding you of your higher purpose. The difference that you make here. Galactic beings always want you to know how much of a difference we're all making. And that we all need to show up with our unique gift, whatever it is, no matter how big or how small we think it is. And so as you feel that galactic council of light, the great central sun angels, the sacred fire love of the great central sun, just blazing into your heart, igniting that passion, clearing your heart chakra from the front all the way to the back of the heart chakra, clearing that energy and expanding the heart, allowing you to remember this incredible depth of compassion for all of life, which is why you want to make the difference you want to make. Remembering that love, that passion, that compassion that you have for why you're here in the world. Breathing in, feeling one of those like mini heat flashes again. So just breathing in, allowing that energy, literally like a flame of light, burning through your energy, clearing your path, because they're also really good at clearing your path. They love clearing your path, actually. Seeing your highest vision, clearing your path, and just being your cheerleader. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Cheerleading you. You can do this. Okay, allowing that energy to clear. And so you'll notice as I'm describing each of these different beings that they kind of have their own language of how they communicate. They have a feeling tone. They have an intention. They have maybe even sometimes a color that relates to them. But they have their own language. And that's why learning about each different tribe of light is so beneficial, because if you're in relationship with somebody from a particular tribe of light that's not yours and you know the language of it, it can help you with communication issues, and it can also help you communicating your message to the world and the network and the people that you're working with. So again, just breathing in, and now we're moving into the planetary beings. So just taking a deep breath, like breaking out in a sweat after that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so all right, so coming into the planetary beings. Now, the planetary beings they dwell, like with the Great Central Sun Angels, or the galactic councils very much relate to the heart center. The cosmic avatars very much relate to the crown chakra. The planetary beings very much relate to the mind, the mental body, and the higher mental body. And they are really brilliant in their mind. They're able to put together the Rubik's Cube. They're able to see all kind of quantum physics. They're great at being scientists and creating new things in the world on that level that's fundamental. And they're highly logical. And so an example of somebody that comes in from the planetary system, and I know this is just a TV character, but you'll relate to it, is Mr. Spock. And Mr. Spock is just an amazing character to look at. Bill Gates is another one, planetary being. And the planetary beings, also the Atlanteans, doing all their crystal healing work and the whole crystal technology. But planetary beings are really great at helping us to come up with new technologies in any industry, honestly, and seeing things from that higher ability to put things together and come up with new things. And when you're working with them, they can be very almost kind of dry and logical. They do have the capacity for a depth of compassion, but they do not have the language for emotional. So they just don't relate to emotions. They just really mostly feel emotions are kind of silly and sort of a waste of time. And so for somebody who's emotional, you can see how that could almost be offensive, right? And they would wonder, why don't you hear me? Why don't you listen to me, kind of thing. So with the planetary beings, they're not emotional. They don't get it. They don't understand it. It's just a waste of their time. And practically, this is just what we need to get done today. This is just the way it is. So we might as well do it, kind of thing, right? You really would love working with them or having them in your life when you do want to, accomplish certain things or deal with technology or try to fill out, work out a strategy for how to have more water in the world or get off of oil and gas or whatever, or creating computer systems, like what Bill Gates did. So, they can make amazing changes in the world. They are oftentimes a little bit quieter. They're not going to be as expressive usually. And when they do, you can almost feel it coming directly from their mind. Like they are talking from their mind to you. And you can feel that mental body just really kind of connecting to you on that level. And sometimes it might feel like they're talking over your head. They're talking in an entirely different planetary language that you don't know what it is. So the downside to the planetary beings can oftentimes be arrogance, and that's different than aloofness. Aloofness, is a different word when you talk about cosmic beings. But with the planetary beings, they can be, when they feel insecure or out of balance, you might notice that they will start to get, in their insecurity, they'll become arrogant. All of a sudden, they're superior. They're right, you're wrong. They'd rather be right than loved, even. Like that's that important to them when they get out of balance. So on their best days, they're creating whole computer systems, and they're part of the UN, and they're really great emissaries between countries and being able to communicate and work. I would say that Barack Obama also probably would be a little bit more in the category of the planetary being, just being very logical, a great oracle, being able to present information without getting too tied up emotionally. And again, Bill Gates and Mr. Spock, on that level. Okay, so let's go ahead and feel into the planetary beings. They would also have been sort of an influence when you look at whole like systems, or countries or cultures, I guess. A lot that influenced the Romans, that would have been a little bit more, maybe more of a planetary energy, and the Atlanteans. But yet, when you get into the star system, which we're going to talk about in a minute, that might be more the Mayans, that might be more the Grecians, a little bit more artistic, a little bit more different, right? Because star beings and planetary beings have a lot in common, but they're very different, but yet they're from similar systems. So they kind of are siblings in a sense, but they're very different how they are connected. So with the planetary beings, I just want you to take a deep breath, breathing in and opening up again as these archangels are helping us to open up to the planetary beings, such as Arcturians, the energy of Ra, Egyptian energy, Atlantean energy. You might have, the reason I'm mentioning those is you might have some past lives where you have been in those particular cultures. And again, feeling the planetary beings, in this case, the Arcturians are coming forth tonight, and they're really great at healing technologies as well, but they are sending energy. They're connecting directly into the mental body, particularly your higher mental body. So you may not feel it as much in your physical body, but more in your higher mental body. Communicating directly with your higher self. And they want to help you download a plan, a formula, a plan, a structure for your own soul blueprint, kind of like a business plan. If you think about it, planetary beings would be great at that. They would be so good at coming up with business plans. They are so good at thinking things through methodically from A to B. They don't really get that distracted, and it's common sense to them. And so the gift they want to bring to each of us tonight is helping us to download and have our minds be able to structure an actual blueprint or like an actual structure or formula to fulfill your unique blueprint. And so there's different ones that are working with us. The Arcturians are not only very gifted healers, but they have an immense amount of wisdom. They can also be warriors, actually. But for tonight, it's that higher wisdom, higher understanding. And the way they're showing it on the inner levels right now is that some of us have some issues with our brain, our mind. Maybe things aren't connecting from the right and left hemispheres. Maybe the pituitary, the pineal, the hypothalamus, maybe need to be adjusted or heightened a little bit. The third eye might need to be cleared. Maybe you've had some head injuries that are affecting you. Maybe you've done certain medications or drugs that are affecting you. There might be some traumas there emotionally. So they're actually wanting to fine tune our brain, the physical brain, including the stem of the brain and the medulla oblongata, and they're wanting to harmonize our brain tissue and the glands within the brain. This is actually going to take a little while. They're going to be working with us really a little bit more throughout the evening. I would imagine that actually all these different tribes of light are going to continue working with us. It's not like a one-time deal here. But they're harmonizing the brain structure, and they're clearing it, including the neurotransmitters, the fiber optics, the crystalline structures of the brain. Like, the brain is way more complicated than what science even knows on an energetic level. And so these really amazing, gifted planetary healers, and bringing forth higher wisdom to not only adjust our brain and fine tune it, and you might even start to feel some pressure in your head area where they're maybe working on you, but they're also, their bigger gift, other than fine-tuning your brain system, is to actually help to give you a structure and an understanding, a blueprint, a foundation, a business plan for your soul blueprint. So they literally want to help you to give you a structure, because many of us just, we're not able to do that in our mind. We might use a creative part, we might be emotional, we might be this, that, and the other, but it feels like we might get kind of distracted. So they're going to help with that. They're going to download it. And whether you choose to use it or not will be up to you. But you might start noticing over the months to come that you start realizing, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get that result. And if I say yes to this, and if I practice doing this, this will happen. Like, you might start to notice that your brain will actually start working better. And it's going to start working better even in relation to your higher purpose, your soul blueprint, which is sort of the focus of our online course. So that's actually like an amazing gift. I'm super grateful. Yeah, so anyway, that's awesome. My brain doesn't work really well with the planetary beings, and so it's probably the one I relate to least on that level. I appreciate it and admire it, but I don't actually operate that way, so I have to strive a little bit to understand that energy, because my brain doesn't work on a linear capacity like that. So super grateful for that gift. All right, so now coming into the next tribe of light is the star beings. And so noticing the star council of light as they come forth. Now, star beings are, they're really fun. They're very childlike in their nature. Like, they can have a very childlike energy to them. They are very brilliant, genius kind of oriented. Their mind thinks very, very quickly. Like, as a planetary being, they're very structural and methodical in how they think. So they're brilliant and genius, but it's structural, methodical, and it always has a formula to it, right? With star beings, they have a very abstract type of brilliance and geniusness to them. Mozart would have been star being energy. You know, a lot of your actors and actresses are star beings, and musicians. Super creative. They can go into the computer sciences. They can be really gifted healers. They're really great at sound and color and light healing and working with that. But the signature tone is that oftentimes they may talk very quickly. Their mind moves very fast. They're very creative, and they would almost have, when they're in balance, they can almost have kind of an ADD type nature to them. So star beings are very sensitive to love being a primary thing. They're very emotionally sensitive, very emotional people, which also gives them a lot of their creativity. And that's a big difference between them and the planetary beings, who are not emotional. They're not emotional. They're more higher mental, right? So the star beings have all this brilliant mental body energy that comes in and stimulates this highly creative energy in their mind, which is great for them. And then it comes through the heart, and they have all this emotion to back it. They have a lot of crystalline structure in their mind, and they can manifest things very easily and very quickly because their crystal structure in their brain is so amplified that when they think about something and they have emotion about it, it manifests very quickly for them. But if they feel fear in their environment, then what happens is they shut down their heart, they withdraw, and then all that energy, it gets shut down at the medulla oblongata right here at the base of the brain. And so now all that brilliant mental body energy that's streaming to them like starlight coming into their mind, it gets stuck there, and it creates what we would consider sort of an ADD thing. They can't focus, they over communicate, they're emotionally erratic, they can't think clearly. And so the easiest way for people, if they do have star being energy, and that's part of where they're coming from, is to reground themselves. And being in nature is a really great resource, because as we know, the nature kingdom and star beings can have a really strong connection. But to be in nature, go for a walk, but also just to start manually breathing through the heart. And quite honestly, I think this is probably a good balancing for all the different tribes of light if you're imbalanced. But to start breathing through your heart center, I'm breathing in, and I'm breathing out. And as a star being starts to feel safe and there's a sense of unconditional love again, that brilliant mental body energy will come all the way through, and they'll just be delightful to be around instead of maybe the ADD where it gets a little bit hard to be around. So that's the downside, is that they have a tendency towards ADD tendencies. And that's because of the difference between love and fear. If they shut their heart because they feel afraid or intimidated or insecure about something, you're going to get those qualities. So breathing in, harmonizing, and regrounding. Another one that I really like a lot is, particularly for star beings, but this is also good for all of them, is to sit Indian style. And what you do is, I don't know if I can really show you in this chair, but if you sit Indian style, your feet are crossed underneath you. So when my right hand goes down, it's actually the right palm of my hand is kind of over the left arch of my foot. And then my left hand, when it goes down to hold my right foot, it's kind of over the right arch. And so what it does is we have these circles of energy. We not only have a microcosmic orbit that goes this way, but we also have these orbs of energy that go this way. And for sometimes when you're in an airplane or in an elevator, or you're around a computer a lot, or a large group of people, these orbs of energy get out of balance and they just start to get a little wonky. And so one way to balance your energy and your meridians in your hemisphere is to sit Indian style and hold your feet. And I will do this anytime I start to get stressed or anxious, or I'm at the airport or anywhere. But you just take your shoes off if you can, because you kind of need to be touching your feet if possible. And I always start, every time I meditate most every morning, and I always start my meditation that way because it creates so much more coherency by balancing out that energetic system, which can, because we have polarities in our body. And so when you hold your feet like that, which star beings are going to be really sensitive to your polarities, it can almost feel like you're a little bit, bipolar, right? And so I just hold my feet. I'm just balancing out all my polarities in my energy system, and that helps tremendously. So anyway, that's just a good tip to have balance out the star beings. Okay, so then coming into the star beings, we're going to listen to them. They relate a lot to the emotional body, so you might notice that sometimes in the solar plexus. Again, you might notice it in the mental body or even the heart. So breathing in, we're going to call forth these beloved star beings coming in. And tonight, who's actually coming in is the Pleiades. They are a star system, not very far from here. Sometimes called the Seven Sisters or the Kite. But the Pleiades is where, when souls tend to come into this earth, a lot of times they'll come through the star system of the Pleiades, because it helps you to understand gravity and time and space, and they teach you that. So when you come into a physical body, you have more awareness of that. The Pleiades are also gifted in music and dance and song. They're very creative in that way. So for a reason, the Pleiades coming in, and they seem like they are also working mostly in the stratosphere of the mental body, and almost like a band of light that's right around the higher mental body. So they're activating the crystalline structure within the mind, within the brain itself, activating this crystalline structure of your own creative energy. And then they are now, actually, when I'm watching it, they're actually going down to the second chakra. So they're igniting this band of light, sending energy and amplifying your crystalline structure within your brain for manifestation, because that's one of their gifts, is manifesting really at ease. Money is usually really not a big deal for them because they're able to manifest their wants and desires very easily. And so amplifying the crystalline structure, and then they are also working within the navel, the second chakra, and enhancing that creative flame, that your own creativity in a sense, which is sometimes reflective in the reproductive systems, the second chakra, that creative aspect of our energy. And so it just might feel like an igniting, almost like fireworks. Star beings also travel in clusters. So if you were to see planetary beings on the inner levels, you might notice them as tall rays of light, and they can be different colors, purples and blues and pastels. So planetary beings can be seen as tall rays of light. Star beings, on the other hand, can also be a whole bunch of different colors of light, but they usually show up like bright white flashing lights, almost like firecrackers, or clusters of light. Sometimes if you're aware of the star beings, you might even notice them on the side, catch them in your peripheral vision. And then sometimes you'll even notice them when you take pictures. Some people who have star being energy, no matter what they take pictures of, they always have orbs, little orbs of light in their photography. That's because their energy is actually catching. So star beings can also show up like orbs of light or starburst and traveling in clusters. And the star beings really can also sometimes, they really like connection a lot. And so even though they can be alone, they really like connection, even if they're just texting or they're talking to somebody by the phone, but they're really good in connection. A lot of your millennials have the star being energy because you have a whole new influx of star beings coming into the planet to actually help the planet to evolve and to have new systems that will be created by the star beings that come in. To help the planet evolve and the family of humanity to go to its next, probably more so technological level. And the star beings are gifted at all that energy of the technology and stuff. Okay, so feeling them. Okay, so the next tribe of light coming in is with the angelic host. And they've been kind of working with us all night, but we're going to sit and just breathing and connecting to the angels. So the angelic realm, again, a little bit different than star beings, even though they can be highly emotionally empathic like the star beings are. Star beings are picking up on thought forms and emotions at really high levels, okay? Angelic beings have a calmer sense to them. They're not as hyper, they're not as ADD. They relate more to the soul. They really like having soul connection with others and being more in the present moment. They like feeling connected on a heart-to-heart level and having deep conversation in that way, and it's more meaningful and not superficial. So the angelic tribe of light are heart-centered, very loving by their very nature. They are oftentimes heart healers, and they will, they're very giving, very nurturing, loving, and a softer energy. When they have a tendency to get out of balance, their big drawback is they go into overcare with the people that they love. So, balancing that back into that is making sure that they stay connected to themselves, that they are bonded to themselves, that they are feeling what they feel. They're not overly feeling other people's feelings or pain body, but that they're feeling their own feelings. And how do they feel about this? So angels are very service oriented. They just love caretaking others and being of service. They're great in the being nurses and healers and parents. And an example that I would give of an angelic being, somebody in angelic form. I mean, there's a lot of them, but Roma Downing from Touched by an Angel, Roma Downing. She truly is angelic being. And then Sarah McLachlan was the other one I was thinking. And even her music comes across that way. But once I saw her in concert at South by Southwest in Austin, and when she got on the stage, there's many different performers all doing their thing. And when she got on the stage to sing, she actually, when she started singing, there was all these angels started flooding through her and coming out into the audience and bringing them peace and bringing them into a loving space. And so people who are angelic not only have a loving energy, a very peaceful, nurturing energy, they don't like a lot of conflict, they're heart healers, but they can also channel angels. And that's true with each of the tribes of light. They can channel cosmic avatars, channel galactic councils, channel planetary light beings like Richard does with us on the Wednesday night calls on the membership. When he does the physical body clearing for us, he's sort of channeling, allowing the Arcturians to move through him. And that's why we can all feel it working with us individually, even if we're not on those Wednesday night calls. So, and I know I've mentioned that a few times. So if you're interested, just go to the website, click in. You're welcome to join the membership anytime you want. So with the angelic beings, then they literally touch your heart and they communicate on a soul level. So their communication is soul level and through the heart. And again, their imbalances, they go into overcare. They don't know. They just will stay with you. They're very loyal. And whatever, they want your pain body to heal. They want you to be okay. And if they just feel like they can help you and you come back to a loving place, then they get to share that love with you. You're loving to them, they're loving to you. They're just all about the love, really. So taking a deep breath and relaxing in that deeply loving energy. With the angelic host, there's many different types of angels. And we're mostly working with archangelic realms, but there are angels of light and seraphim angels and Elohim angels, but primarily we're working kind of more so with the archangels. So just breathing into this energy. And the angelic energy coming in tonight is actually Archangel Chamuel, so it's one of the archangels. Archangel Michael's also here. Actually, all 7 of your primary archangels are coming in. So that's Archangel Jophiel, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Michael, Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Zadkiel. So these are your 7 primary. There's many different archangels, but these are your 7 primary, and they're creating almost like a ring of light around us. And they're opening us up to the depth of our love. So it's a very unique kind of gift that they're bringing us, opening you up to the depth of your individual love, opening you up to the depth of your love, knowing that the depth of your love actually has no end. And so breathing into the depth of your love. And as you're reaching for the depth of your love, it actually has no end because it goes all the way back to source energy, and source is infinite. And in knowing the depth of your love, that you are deeply, divinely, unconditionally loved, adored, and cherished beyond measure. And just feeling how deeply, unconditionally loved you are. And breathing into the depth of your love. That's also part of my morning meditation I do every day, is I breathe into the depth of my love. And when I feel for it, I remember, actually, it's infinite. And just breathing in and expanding the remembrance of your love, the love that literally comes from source energy, that animates your body, that breathes you into life. It's that love. It's not so much a personal love or a human love, it's this divine love. And as they're uplifting us and holding that space around our heart center. And it feels like there's almost like, it's almost like they're washing away the weariness, because I think for sometimes when people love very deeply and they're in relationships and they have kids and they care about the world and they care about their pets and their friends and their family, it can almost leave almost kind of a weariness. And so they're bringing that energy. What creates the weariness is not bringing it back home to you, like not having that deep self-love. And so they're bringing that back in to rejuvenate the heart center. Kind of a healing of that weariness. Giving things that this is done, and so it is. Okay, now, again, that's also going to continue. So the next tribe of light that we are coming up with is the energy of the Ascended Masters. So the Ascended Masters are Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, Saint Germain, Mother Mary, Dwaj Khul, the Tibetan, Serapis Bey, Hilarion. There's many of them. And they come from different time periods, like Krishna, whole different time period, but he is considered an Ascended Master. And what's happened is that an Ascended Master is somebody who has walked the earth as a human being, again, from their unique tribe of light. They've walked this earth. They have reached their own enlightenment. They have given the creative flame of their service to this world. And in their enlightenment, they no longer have to reincarnate, and they go straight to the octave right above us. Now, they could go anywhere that they want, right? Maybe back to their own tribe of light or whatever, or onto their own soul's evolution. But Ascended Masters are unique in the sense that they are literally choosing to stay connected as sort of a big brother, big sister to our world. So again, they don't have to. There's many different dimensions of consciousness they can go into, but these particular beings have chosen to be of service with us as a big brother, big sister, and they're literally only one octave above us. And they can even enter into physical form when they want to. Like I think when Buddha does it, it's called the Wesak, maybe, festival. Actually, Archangel Michael, I think, has done it before too. But Ascended Masters have been known to show up in people's lives, like working with the Mayans in their temple or the Tibetans. They will a lot of times work in some of the living retreats where there has been cultural advancement at very fast paces. But they also can show up as a homeless person. You know, they can show up as master teachers. They can show up as a homeless person. So they at times will do that. And because their octave is just a little bit different than ours, and they've been in human form before, it makes it easy for them to make that shift. They don't prefer it. They don't like staying in it, but they will come in to make a difference when needed, or when they feel like it or they want to for whatever reason. So again, Ascended Masters, like our big brothers, big sisters, there's thousands of them. And you wouldn't necessarily know all the different names of them because some of them are out of India, some of them are out of Africa, some of them are out of Egypt, some of them are, you know, you might know from a more Christian or Buddhist way of being, but they're there. And you can call them in to make, you know, to work with you at any given point in time. Now, with Ascended Masters, their signature tone is that they have a lot of wisdom. They really want to share it with other people. They're really gifted teachers. They have and they'd always rather teach people how to fish for themselves than fish for them, right? So Ascended Masters are really, they want to be a guide for you, but they don't want to be overly involved to where you know you don't fulfill your own purpose and you lean too heavily on them. And with that Ascended Master energy, just breathing in for a moment. The downside of the Ascended Masters is kind of an accommodation. They can also be kind of aloof in their own way, in terms of being a bit standoffish. But I think the bigger one is they get disappointed. They just get really down about the family of humanity, about why, you know, we treat each other the way we do, in a sense, you know. And so again, breathing in, and we want to open up for a moment to that Ascended Master energy. Ascended Master energy might be, if you looked at a living person in this day and age, might be like Thich Nhat Hanh, you know, has a lot of that Ascended Master energy to him. The Dalai Lama would have a lot of that Ascended Master energy to them. And so just breathing in, and we're going to open up to the blessing of the Ascended Masters. Okay, and who's stepping forth primarily, we're opening up to the spiraling blue flame of the Ascended Master Octave, which is one way of actually invoking that particular dimension. So again, I'm opening up to the spiraling blue flame of the Ascended Master Octave. And in this energy, it is Kuan Yin's energy is showing up primarily and wanting to work with us. She's actually on the Lord of Karma, the board of Karma. And so she's actually coming in, and what she wants to do, particularly tonight as an Ascended Master on behalf of our soul blueprint, is clearing our karmic patterns, helping to clear and transmute as much karma as can be cleared in this moment in our lifetime. And literally clearing it, because when you're working with the Lords of Karma, you're also working with the Akashic records. And so she is part of that council, which is very guarded. And so we're opening up, and this is going to be a little bit more in our etheric body where she is working tonight. So that's in an octave kind of above our head, but she's working in the etheric body within the Akashic record, helping to clear any karmic residue, any karmic that can be transmuted within all past, present, future, time, space, dimension, parallel, and dimensional selves being transmuted instantly now. And it's almost like this whoosh of energy kind of clearing through, just whoosh, almost like waves of an ocean, just flooding through on a soul level and into our Akashic records, clearing this space, clearing this energy, giving thanks that this is done. That's a major gift that she's offering. Simply by you showing up, you're doing your 51%, she's helping you with the other 49 kind of thing, which is what Ascended Masters can do. I mean, they're really great at helping us to move forward in a way that with maximum efficiency, minimum effort. That's really one of their statements. They like working with maximum efficiency, minimum effort. And unless you're committed, they're just not interested in playing. But the minute you're committed, they want to be present as well. Okay, so then the final tribe of light is the nature kingdom. And so breathing in, allowing for the nature kingdom to come forward. So people who relate to the nature kingdom, you know, they're going to be able to really have a strong communication with the fairies and the devas, the nature spirits, the tree spirits, animal kingdom. They're going to be really good at things like that. And they will be known for really even writing books and getting people involved in healing the earth, picking up trash, healing things that go on with the earth itself, but having a specific interdimensional communication with the nature, you know, plants, animals, the earth, land, gardening, that kind of interspecies communication. So breathing in for a moment. And with, you know, you can see a lot with the nature kingdom being very connected even with people who are in the indigenous, like if you look at people in the indigenous culture or, I think it's Diana Fossey, maybe, the lady who works with the gorillas, the Rachel, I can't remember her last name, the lady who wrote The Last Spring. So St. Francis of Assisi, these are just an example of some people who, Rachel Carson, that's the one who wrote the Spring book. But anyway, so with these people, they're very gifted at being so deeply sensitive. They're kind of, again, related a little bit to the star beings and the angels. And they really love the earth and they love nature. They can't stand seeing anything be harmed in that way. And so we're going to open up to their energy. They can also be very childlike. And their downside is that they can be antisocial. You know, they just really prefer to be in nature than around people, you know, and sometimes that can get the better of them. And it's not hard to blame them. You know, you can totally relate, you know, in nature, it's just such a pure and unconditional space. So breathe in, and we're going to let the nature spirits, and who's coming forth on behalf of the nature spirits tonight is actually the energy of Pan, who's relating to that. We're going to go ahead and put ourselves in a MAP coning, which is a medical assistance program that comes out of Paralandra, the lady who also created Paralandra, great woman who relates to the nature kingdom. She's part of that. So Paralandra Flower Essences of Virginia. Okay, and so she created something called the map coning. So it's I'm calling forward to the overlighting elementals and devas of healing, the energies of Pan, the avatar of synthesis, the spiraling blue flame of the Ascended Master octave overlighting us with that vortex above our head and our higher self. And so when you put in the map coning, you have a vortex above your head coming down and a vortex from the earth coming up. So the emissaries or the elementals and the devas and the energy of Pan are coming up from the earth. The Ascended Masters and the higher self are coming down, and it creates this really cool vortex of energy that clears the aura, the nervous system, and really works with you. So if you are a nature kingdom being, learning how to do map conings and calling in the nature spirits and knowing which herbs you can eat or which flower essence to take, which homeopathics are going to be almost kind of second, animal communication are going to be like second nature in a way. So as we call in to the energy of Pan, placing us into a map coning, and tonight, ending the call tonight on grounding into the earth. And so the map coning team, the nature spirits that are coming forth are really wanting us to ground into the earth and just literally feeling your feet connecting into the planet like roots of the tree going down. And just grounding all this energy that we've been exposed to with all these different tribes of light. Learning a little bit about the language of each, the personality, their characteristics, and just feeling your energy ground into the very core of the planet. And then I want you to imagine bringing and breathing the green energy of the planet up through your legs, through the bottom of your body, up through all the chakras, out the top of the head, and then just coming out around the top of your head and back into the earth. But it's almost like creating this orb coming up to the center of your body, all this green light through all your chakras, up to the top of the head and around. And so that's another great way of grounding, not only sending roots down into the earth and grounding and getting centered, because you really need to be very grounded and in harmony to the nature kingdom to even be able to do your soul blueprint, because we're in this world. And it's really the nature spirits and the nature kingdom that are supplying us with everything, our food, our water, our air, and every supply and thing that you might need. So you want to be in cooperation with the nature kingdom and respectful of them. And so the second way of grounding is not only sending roots down, but also bringing the green energy of the planet up through each chakra and then back out the crown chakra as if it's like a fountain of green light. And so we're going to go ahead and complete the call. I know we went way over tonight covering the tribes of light. It was just a lot of information to cover. Again, you can go in and take the quiz. Go to mywildmagic.com and take the quiz if you haven't already. And hopefully being blessed by all 7 of these tribes of light tonight will be a real blessing to all of us in our soul blueprint. If you have any questions about it, please reach out. And thank you for being on the call tonight and being patient with how long this particular call kind of rolled through there. All right, so you have a good evening and we will talk to you later. Okay, good night.